On the outskirts of Briarwood, a quiet town surrounded by endless fields and dark, whispering forests, people spoke in hushed tones about a place no one could fully explain. Lambda, a house that wasn't there one day, and the next morning it stood completely finished. No workers, no construction noise, no permits, just a house, fully formed, sitting at the end of a dirt road. It looked old, yet new, abandoned, yet inhabited, like it had grown there overnight. Locals called it, the house that built itself. Ethan Ward, a Sansherar-year-old structural engineer and investigator, had heard rumors about the house long before he saw it. People claimed it appeared out of nowhere, that lights flickered inside at night, that shadows moved in the windows, though no one lived there. Ethan didn't believe in ghost stories. He believed in evidence, measurements, and logic. Bond, when his company assigned him to inspect the mysterious structure for safety concerns, he was thrilled. This was the kind of puzzle he lived for. Planned. He arrived at the location on a foggy morning, and the moment he stepped the last few feet toward the house, something felt off. The air was colder, the silence heavier. He felt watched, yet there was no one around. The house stood perfectly still, too still. Ethan walked around the outside, first notebook in hand. Instantly, he noticed something bizarre. The design was inconsistent. The walls were built with 3 different types of wood, none from the same era. The roof had mismatched shingles, so lined symmetrically. The foundation stones were irregular, as if they had been taken from different buildings entirely. It was as if the house had assembled itself using whatever materials it could find. Balan, he leaned closer and realized something even more unsettling. Some boards were new, freshly cut. Others were ancient, brittle with age. Some pieces were carved with symbols he didn't recognize. He placed his hand on a wooden beam. It was warm, almost pulsing. He pulled his hand away immediately. Inside, the air smelled of damp earth, wood dust, and something metallic. Ethan flicked on his flashlight. The interior was even stranger. The hallways seemed to shift direction. Doors were positioned at odd heights. Staircases led to platforms that abruptly ended. It felt like the house was trying to form itself, but didn't fully understand human architecture. As Ethan took photos, he heard something behind him. Creak! He spun around. A door that had been closed was now slightly open. He approached cautiously, pushing it further. Only to freeze. Behind the door was a staircase. He checked his notebook. That staircase wasn't there earlier. It hadn't existed. Minutes ago, Ethan climbed the new staircase slowly. It led to a hallway of unfinished walls. He placed his ear against one of them, trying to understand the strange vibration beneath the wood. The wall whispered, bland. At first it sounded like wind, then like voices layered together. Thousands of overlapping murmurs. He stepped back, shaken. Suddenly, bang! A door at the end of the hallway slammed open. Ethan's flashlight flickered. Now visible in the doorway was a room that had not been there minutes ago. Blammed inside it stood a table with an old, dusty box on top, as if waiting for him. Ethan approached the box. It was heavy, carved with the same symbols he'd seen outside. He lifted the lid slowly. Inside were photographs, hundreds of them, black and white, old, crumpled, all of the house, in different stages, growing, changing, developing, as if it had been alive for decades, planned. But then Ethan saw a photo that made his blood run cold. The house was pictured standing in a field, and in 1923, then again in Yunno 1948, 1961, 1976, 1994, 2012, 2020. Each time the house looked different, older, bigger, rearranged. Bands. Sometimes it was a small cabin, other times a two-story structure, once almost a mansion, but always the same location, lawned as if it kept rebuilding itself every few years. Ethan flipped to the newest photo. One taken just last month, and there on the porch, standing in front of the house, was him, Ethan Ward, same clothes, same stance, same camera in hand, but he had never been there before today. He dropped the photo, trembling like the whispering walls grew louder. Ethan stumbled into a final room, a circular chamber in the center of the house. Glad inside it were dozens of photos pinned to the walls, photos of people, and every photo showed someone standing near the house right before they disappeared, some from the Ichenjubite Arsers, some from the Ichenjubite Tissers, a few from recent years, Manda. And in the center of the display, was a photo of Ethan, taken from behind, from moments ago. While he stood looking at the earlier photos, his breath hitched. Someone or something was inside the house, photographing him. Bland. He looked behind him slowly. No one! Plondand. But the whisper came again directly behind his ear. You belong to the house now. Blam. The floorboards curled upward like fingers. The walls folded inward. The roof lowered. The house was closing in.